I'm moving to Montana soon. Gonna be a dental floss tycoon. Or maybe I'll just listen to today's Nice Guys on Business.
Yes, when you get a product, whether it's a cup of coffee, whether you're going into Mary's or whether you're going into Susie's ice cream store, you're going into Joe's lawn shop, there's a promise. And it starts from the very first time you hear about them. Wherever you are introduced to them, whether it's from a friend, from signage as you drive by, from a social media ad, from seeing something on a shelf, whatever it is, that first point of contact is when that relationship begins. And that is when your brand needs to be in alignment all the way through to the end delivery. So it's a promise wrapped in a delivery.
Dear Mr. Vernon, we accept the fact that we had to sacrifice a whole Saturday in detention for whatever it is we did wrong, but we think you're crazy to make us write an essay telling you who we think we are. You see us as you want to see us, in the simplest terms and the most convenient definitions. But what we found out is that each one of us is the nice guys on business. Go from where you are now to where you could be. Get expert tips to grow your business, to be more productive and more efficient, whether you're trying to build influence, grow your community, or make it rain. Best-selling author of Nice Guys Finish First, Doug Sandler, can lead the way. The Nice Guys on Business is produced by TurnKey Podcast Productions. Now, here's your host, Doug Sandler.
All right, now, Nice Guy community, we live and we die by their messaging, both literally and figuratively, whether you're buying laundry detergent or choosing a funeral home. Now, branding is everything. How your message aligns with your market and how you help your customers navigate the experience they have with your brand, ultra important. And today's guest would know that. He is not only a branding superstar, his name is Brandon Coleman Jr., and he's all about things branding, all things branding, podcaster, author, speaker, consultant. Brandon, welcome to the Nice Guys.
Thanks. Happy to be here. I really appreciate the invitation from you guys. Y'all are celebrities in your own right, and it's an honor to be on your podcast.
Oh, well, thanks. In spite of all of the people that have requested that we don't come back week after week, we do keep coming back. We keep pushing content in their direction. So
maybe I can help you scare a few more of them off.
Maybe so. That's good. That's good. All right. I don't want to bury the lead here, Brandon. Your name, Brandon. Your brand on. I mean, come on. Coincidence? I think not.
What you didn't tell them is how really, really old I am. At 69 years old, when I walked in my classroom in 1976, I had a world-renowned marketing professor look at my name on the roll, and he literally looks at it and he goes, "Brand on Coleman. Are you here?" I said, "Here." He said, "Wow, cool." What's amazing about that, Doug, is that branding wasn't even a word then. The Madison Avenue and some of the big boys used it way up on the Northeast coast, but it wasn't branding wasn't a thing. Brand wasn't a thing. Wasn't talked about in marketing. Wasn't taught in the classroom. Couldn't find the word in a textbook.
Wow!
And so he just did that. We ended up becoming lifelong friends. It's a really cool story behind that, and it was amazing. And I even thought about calling my first firm when I started it in 1980. I said, I'm going to call it Brand On. But brand wasn't a thing, so I didn't. But
all right, well, let's talk about that and the importance of. I want to work backwards for just a quick second, because there's going to be somebody in my audience, including maybe a portion of my own brain, that doesn't really understand branding and what branding is all about. So can you maybe roughly define what brand is for us, and then we'll take it from there?
There are a lot of definitions of brand, and our firm created one in the early 80s that still sticks today, that is still my favorite, not because we created it, but because it's simple. And that is that a brand is a promise wrapped in a delivery. A brand is a promise wrapped in a delivery. So you make a promise, life's about promises, and you make a promise to your customers, your prospective customers, and then you deliver. You deliver spot on or you don't. You're either brand on or your brand off.
I love that you say that, because the brand is a promise wrapped up with delivery or in delivery.
A brand is a promise wrapped in a delivery.
Wrapped Correct. In a delivery. All right. Correct. So I I want to talk about that for a second because
Sure.
as a newly launched podcaster of the Brand On Show, by the way, and thank you for
I can't wait to hear it.
it's going to be great. I know that it is TurnKey is producing the show, and that's how we were originally introduced through a publisher, and that's awesome. But I think your messaging is so important. Your brand is so important. But the way that you aligned with one of the first things I picked up in a very quick order, just listening to your welcome episode, and we'll make sure we put a link in the show notes so that everybody in our Nice Guy community has access to the show. But one of the things you talk about is I'm going to make 10 promises. And I never really thought about branding as making a promise, but I think about it when you go to the grocery store and you look at the full litany of, let's call it, laundry detergents, and you see Tide, their promise is that they're going to get your clothes clean and they're going to do it properly. I mean, their promise is that they're going to protect the environment and do it phosphate free and deliver a
Right.
free. I mean, they have promises, but I don't never really think about when I run into a product, I'm being promised something, but really I am. Isn't that true?
That is absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. And one of the things I want to do, Doug, is I want to make sure we stay focused on entrepreneurs, and that when we talk about brands, so many people want to. Every book you read, they want to talk about Coke, or they want to talk about Nike, or they want to talk about, something that's easy for everybody to relate to. And those big brands have their stories and they have their challenges, and they need to be in brand alignment as well. But the entrepreneurs can't relate to that. They can't assimilate when they're running a little coffee shop or a yoga studio or a construction company or even a $100 million consulting firm, which is still in America a small business. They can't relate to the vernacular that some of the big corporate and the Fortune 500 use when it comes to brand. And they don't have large branding teams. They might have one person or two or a small agency, or maybe it's just themselves. So yes, when you get a product, whether it's a cup of coffee, whether you're going into Mary's or whether you're going into Susie's ice cream store, or you're going into Joe's lawn shop, there's a promise. And it starts from the very first time you hear about them, wherever you are introduced to them, whether it's from a friend, from signage as you drive by, from a social media ad, from seeing something on a shelf. Whatever it is, that first point of contact is when that relationship begins. And that is when your brand needs to be in alignment all the way through to the end delivery. So it's a promise wrapped in a delivery.
I love that you say that, and I love that as a part of your customer journey. You think about your customer journey all the way through, from the moment that person, that touch point where they come in contact with your brand, till the end of either delivery or how you're supporting them or following up with them or everything. You've got to be true to your brand. And for some, you walk into a restaurant chain like can't remember the name of I think it's Dick's Last Resort, where you walk in there and they're purposely rude to you. Yeah, I mean that's part of their that's part of their shtick, and that's part of their brand. If you were to walk into the Four Seasons or any of the large hotel chains, the luxury chains, you would feel like if they were rude to you, walked in here, I'd walk out. So it really is what your promise is. And I like that you say that, because you need to be true to your promises, need to be true to your brand.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely.
So Brandon, you were in branding before branding was even a thing. So can you take me back to the very beginning of when you started to understand the importance of branding, and maybe give me a little history of what branding is all about and when it became the thing that people started to look towards?
Absolutely. Would love to do that. Let's start with the second part of that question. Let's start with the history of brand. Very brief. The premise of brand's been around very, very, very long time. It was thought to have started in 2000 BC when farmers used it to identify their properties, and craftsmen put their mark or symbol on goods to label them as their own. Even though it was used to a degree to market products, and by some of the major New York and Chicago ad agencies post-World War II in the 50s and 60s, the strategy of branding as a master discipline really began gaining momentum with the corporate marketing world in the late 80s. When I graduated from college with a business degree in 1978, the word brand was seldomly used in the classroom, rarely used to talk about anything other than a logo or a mark. similar to how it had been for thousands of years. That mark that was put on cattle, the mark that was put on things that these people owned in 2000 BC. By the time I sold my first brand strategy firm, which 20 years later in 2000, business schools were finally beginning to talk about it in a meaningful way. So from 2000s on, the modern era of branding absolutely took off. And we witnessed an explosion with the expansion of the internet and an increase of students majoring in marketing and extensive job growth in marketing related fields and a surge in branding terminology. In fact, the rapid explosion of brand ultimately gave birth to branding nomenclature overload. I've got a video that we're gonna post not too long from now on my website at brandoncolemanjr.com. It's a funny because it lists all the branding vernacular, and there's like 40 words, and when you read them, it's a brand salad. It really is a brand salad, totally confusing, and branding's a lot simpler than that. It is a lot simpler than that. It's part art, part science, and a whole lot of common sense. So it's a big list of things, and counseling, consulting groups have made fortunes capitalizing on the confusion of branding.
Well, I want to ask you a question because something in there you said just kind of set me in my brain in a different direction just temporarily here. Just understanding, you mentioned branding, and then we started talking about brand alignment. Is brand alignment how closely your company is aligned to the promise that you make using your brand?
It is. I mean, that's a simple. It is. Everything you do with your brand needs to align with the type of customer or client or donor or patient that you desire to serve. But the understanding of that marketplace is what drives your decisions on how you shape your brand. So brand alignment is a whole lot more than marketing. It's a whole lot more than marketing. A lot of times companies, especially small ones that we're trying to reach out to, they want to put it on their marketing person to fix branding or brand alignment. And it's just way more than that.
Well,
it is. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to add, I think that it's not just it's like saying customer service is a department. It's not a department.
No.
It's a whole thing. And, when I think about, if you're designing, I wrote it down in an interview I did a few ago, one of TurnKey's promises, it's interesting you say promises is part of the brand, customer experience as a competitive advantage. When I think about that, I think about one of the promises that we make to our customers is we're going to have rapid response. We are going to align ourselves that the customer's way is how we want to is the perspective that we want to have on everything that we do. We want to understand why it is that the customer has a concern or why it is that the customer has a desire to achieve a certain goal. And our sole purpose is to align ourselves and do that properly for the customer. Now, that would be like lying to the customer if we were to do that with the customer, but treat our staff differently. It would be, so it's almost
Absolutely.
like it's an HR thing. It's just as much as it is a customer experience thing. And one of our promises is using the customer experience as a competitive advantage. And it's hard to do that if you don't buy this lock, stock, and barrel throughout your entire culture.
It's absolutely. You could write this book, brother. You really could. We talk about brand being a promise wrapped in a delivery. Brand alignment occurs when the customer experience meets the customer expectations. In other words, I like to say the CX equals the CEXP. The CX equals the CEXP. Brand alignment is that magical moment when every single touch point of your brand represents and delivers what your customer wants your brand experience to be. Once you are aligned, the strength of your organization's brand is perpetuated by how well you and your employees deliver it day in and day out. And one of the things I find with entrepreneurs and small businesses that their advantage is so many owners of small companies have a hunger. They have a desire to succeed, a desire to win. And that will drive that brand perfection. And there are people out there who will write, there are professors especially love to write, there is no such thing as perfect brand alignment. That's bullshit. There is perfect brand alignment. You can have perfect brand alignment. Now, those that achieve what I call brand on acclaim, which is over brand on. It is over the top. Mm-hmm. Those businesses are few and far between, but they're out there. We're going to start a deal here in a few months where we're going to go find those businesses. We're going to interview those people. We're going to award them the Brand on Acclaimed Award because they are the ones that like to deliver joy and delight. It's the over and above. They exceeded expectations. Like, wow, I wasn't expecting that from that hotel. What they did that. That's so cool because it goes so far in adding value to your brand and to the longevity of that customer loyalty.
You know, the absence of a awareness of a brand does not negate the fact that there is a brand. You know, just because
you're not aware of it doesn't mean your customer isn't.
Right. It's like and I'm speaking specifically to the entrepreneur that's like, fuck, I'm too busy just growing my business right now to really focus on my brand. I'm like, wrong fucking answer, dude.
Can I tell you how many times I've heard that? Like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. It's funny. The last client I did a deal for, they came in and the guy goes, and he ran a major medical practice. I won't go into the details of it, but they were making millions of dollars and they were doing very, very well. And a great guy, and he knows his stuff. And the guy's brilliant. He's a surgeon that is just, I mean, he's forgotten more than I'll ever know in life. He's so smart. But he comes in and the first thing he says, I need your help. I heard you're the guru, and I want you just look. I don't care what it costs. I got to take care of it. I got to do this. I got to do that. I'm spending these millions in TV. I'm getting results. We're making a lot of money. We're very proud, but I just feel like we're leaving something on the table. I said, well, how'd you come up with the name for the business? And he was telling me how he came up with the name for the business, and everything he had tried was absolutely the wrong way to come up with a name for a business. And I said, well, can we look at your business name? Will that be something on the table for me as I consider strategies? He goes, absolutely not. I've been that for 9 years. I've been very successful with it, and I'll be damned if you're going to change my name. So I wrote down, okay, challenge accepted. After I did my homework, went back to him in a week, and we sat down. He said, what's the first thing you got to tell me? I said, you need to change your name. He goes, bullshit. I said, if we don't, we're not going to be successful. If we do, I'm going to knock this thing so far out of the park, you're going to be hugging me. That was 1 year and 3 months ago on a major project. And I just ran into that gentleman last week. And he came up and dropped all his stuff on the ground, came up, gave me a big hug. They were at the time, I want to say, profiting well over $1 million a month. And we doubled that inside of 9 months.
Wow.
And we did it by aligning their name and aligning their brand and just making it to where it made sense to their customer base. And when you're that entrepreneur and you're so close to it that you just, like you said, Doug, you said, I'm too busy and I got this and I got surgery. I'm down in people's faces doing work and I'm doing this and we got this money and we got these clients and we got 6 locations and I got patients to deal with and I don't have time to worry about my name.
Right.
Well, he does now.
Yeah, I'm sure he's pretty happy with that. I want to take you though temporarily to a conversation that you and I had. I'm hoping it's okay. I bring this up when you called me this morning, and you said, "Hey, you didn't say this in these words, but here's what I heard." Let me just tell you what I heard. Doug, we have a problem, and you're propagating the problem and extending the problem because I don't really feel like I listened to an episode and I don't. Why don't you tell it from your perspective? And Nice Guy community, I'm not saying this to either razz Brandon or to get you riled up into not being interested in something we're about to say, but I took stock in what he said, and I don't know the answer, which is why I want to bring it up as a common.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Right, I think it's cool because it brings up a lot of good points. I think one of them is that.
Let's go back though. Go back and share what happened.
Oh, I will. But I'm going to start by saying that perception's reality. Okay?
Yeah.
Perception is reality. It's like the duck and the decoy. You know, that duck's sitting right next to that plastic decoy, and he's feeding, and he feels like, oh, that's another duck. Well, when I first heard about your podcast and saw it said what? What is the name of it?
Nice guys on business.
Nice guys on business. It doesn't say nice guys on drugs. It says nice guys on business. Yes. Oh, cool. And because I've known you briefly. I don't know you well.
Yeah.
Because I've known you briefly, I thought, oh, cool, man. Doug and Strick, they're cool guys. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun approach at business, but you get a little business insight and have a laugh or two along the way. I said, that is so cool. I can't wait to listen to them. So I went and listened to one, and it was good. I had a guy on there talking about whatever it was and talking about his business, and it was a good podcast. It was good. And then I thought, okay, good. I'm going to listen to a second. And it was a total. Well, y'all call it what? What do you name that thing?
Shit show.
What?
Fuckery. NGF. Fuckery.
Yeah, okay. Well, when I heard it in my earpods and I'm doing my workout, I'm going, did he just say fuckery? And I'm like, come on, dude, really? And so anyway, then I thought, oh, that was a mishap. And they're just, let me listen to the show.
Yeah.
And it was, in my opinion, and everybody's got an opinion, it's the worst hour I've ever spent in my life doing anything.
I love it.
They had 4 women on there, and they go, "Oh, we're going to gaggle a bit," and the gaggle, hell, man, they made a flock of geese sound like a wow. I mean, it was horrible.
Nobody, hold on, Brandon. Nobody in our community get your feathers right. I'm giving Brandon. I said I want you to. I want you to tell the truth because look, Brandon's a fan of the show, even though he's only listened to a couple of episodes. His opinion matters, so I want to hear it, and I'm not shying away from it. And I defended whatever the gaggle.
You did. And you were defensive as hell.
I hope I wasn't bad.
He loves you ladies. And he went, oh my God, these ladies are the best. And they are, but everything is about the right time and the right place when it comes to brand alignment. And my brand, my mind, my perception versus reality was I'm going into a business podcast because it had the name business on there. And you wasted an hour of my life. Now, I will tell you at the 4.50 mark, 4 minutes, 50 seconds in, I was going to turn it off. And the only reason I didn't is because I'm doing business with you guys because y'all are awesome.
Right.
But without that, I would have clicked it because it was so ridiculously sick. I would have clicked it off. I would have never listened to another one of your podcasts. And I would have told every business friend I have when we talk in podcasts, don't waste time with that one, even though it says business. So I understand shows ebb and flow. And then sometimes y'all just want to cut loose and have fun. However, if that is my only engagement with that brand, and that is my first time in, and it says business on the cover, no, I don't want a dry presentation. Come on, it's Doug and it's Strick. It's going to be fun. It's going to be business.
Let me ask you a question, though. If I go on, and I know this is going to be playing in a bigger pool for a second, but if I go on to Southwest and they deliver exemplary service and they do it with a smile, and I am, all seat assignment thing and the A-list thing and the peanuts thing and the extra bag thing and no charges for changes and all of that, and I've bought into that because I'm a fan of Southwest. And I get on their airplane, and the guy that is doing the announcements says, "Hey, look, we're going to do some safety announcements. Not that we're going to actually ever have an accident, but in case we do, you want to be able to kiss your ass goodbye." And this was a guy that was at the front of the plane that said that. If I was on United, I would have been scared shitless because that wasn't in their brand. Now, it wasn't one of their promises. However, from doing this show for 10 years, my feeling was, hey, the community, and we've tried everything come Sunday about all of the different formats and varieties. We even broke off the Friday Fuckery show and did our own show, and that was a massive failure. So we stopped. We brought it. We heard from our audience, bring this back. Is it possible that an audience member just tuning in for the first time, how true to our brand do we need to be if everybody else that's in this community, right? It's like a paid membership and you're the guy looking in, like, why the fuck does anybody think this is funny? This isn't funny. This is sick. So how true to your brand do you need to be when it relates to somebody that's new approaching your business or your brand? I mean, I didn't make a promise to you. You assumed that the promise was it's going to be the nice guys on business all day, every day. Even though at the beginning of that, it says, hey, if you're listening to this episode, there's no business content. You should tune out right now.
Well, I think you just answered your own question, so I won't have to go very long. If you'll run your tape back and listen to how long it took you to explain why you did what you did, you'll know why it sucks.
Oh, gosh. Okay. And I don't...
Simple. It's got to be simple. It's got to be simple. You've got to be consistent. You can be consistently tomfoolery, that's no problem.
Yeah.
I am not a square. I love to rip it, and have fun, baby. But you put the word business on the front. There wasn't a stitch of business that day. I don't care what the bottom of her cocktail glass says. That's not business. You said business. Doesn't mean it can't be business fun.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I really do. I appreciate and I respect. I mean, you're the expert at this. It would be like you telling me, you know, we spent Nice Guy Community. We spent a few minutes at the beginning of this tweaking Brandon's microphone because I knew that I could get better sound out of that.
Because I'm a dodo bird on this thing.
It's just like you wouldn't question my ability to get a better sound of your microphone. Like I would never question your understanding and your alignment and your experience when it comes to branding. I know that there are fuck ups that we're doing. And I know that there are mistakes and probably lost us some business along the way. I almost want to say, okay, well, if that's the price of business of doing business or my podcast this way, then that is losing me business, but I'm having a good time doing it. I guess that's one of those things that I just have to understand and just
you have to decide what brand alignment is for you.
Right.
It doesn't mean you can't have fun.
Right.
There's some days I could think of that show would be all I'd want to listen to.
But not when you're going to a
Friday
business.
afternoon at 1:00. I'm taking off early. I'm going to go to Margarita. Turn the girls on, man. Let's cut up. Let me call in with some questions. Let's have a good time. But don't tell me it's business.
Yeah, God, I don't even. So would you call the show The Nice Guys? And then I think about, well, we're not even nice sometimes. We would call it The Guys. What do we call the show? Brandon, help me. I need you. We obviously need your help. What do we call the show?
So what happens in many businesses is success erodes brands. Okay.
Yeah, I see that. I can see that. They
outgrow themselves.
Yeah.
Evolution erodes brands.
I think about it, Brandon, when it comes to brand alignment and can businesses be successful? Sometimes success erodes brands. You just said that. Can you explain that a little? Because that really is that could be impactful here.
Yeah, it does. Company will grow. And then all of a sudden they have to start answering to different metrics. They get more investors, maybe some more people. Maybe all of a sudden this little entrepreneurship has a little board, has an advisory group, and they start measuring them by the quarter instead of annually, or they start measuring them monthly and they want different results. And so you start tweaking strategies, and all of a sudden what you're doing to perform to please the people that are now involved in your business is stretching the capacity of your business. And so your brand may move out of alignment. Another one, besides success, another thing that destroys brands is morphing. Another story told in the book is about, and you used restaurants earlier, so I'll go there. And everybody likes that. The analogy because it's so easy for everyone to understand. But we represented a restaurant group that came in and said, well, we just don't understand what's wrong with our brand. And it was back, we're going way back, okay, 80s. And the whole world of, if you can imagine this, you probably weren't even born yet, Doug. But they created something called salad bars. And it was like, oh, shit, I don't have to wait for that old woman to come crawling over here with my plate of salad. I go get what I want. And oh boy, if I want a few more eggs and bacon on top, I'll just pour it on. So I go get my own salad bar. And that became a really hip and cool thing. And so people started adding them. And so this group added a salad bar, and it was no more part of their brand than a barrel of monkeys, but everybody else had a salad bar. And then everybody else had one of these, and everybody else had one of those. Everybody had chocolate, everybody had vanilla, and all of a sudden they added so many things on that they became nothing.
Mm.
They had no more unique value proposition. They tried to become what everybody else was doing. And so they literally morphed into nothing. They had nothing they could stake a claim into. So businesses succeed and then lose their brand. Businesses morph because you just don't realize what's going on around you because you're doing day reactions. They just did this, so I'm going to do that. Your competition will change the way you think about your brand. Or like you said earlier, that entrepreneur goes, hey, I'm busy performing this. I'm busy doing accounting. I'm busy taking the trash out. I'm busy serving customers. I don't have time to worry about my brand. And they didn't look up to see, oh, wow, that brand has really changed how others see it. And you mentioned earlier a very dear friend of mine, a great company in Southwest Airlines. Bob Jordan, a good friend of mine, is the CEO. He's got a quote on my new book cover. But we have had lengthy talks about brand and brand erosion and how things change. And like you said, and you said you're a loyal Southwest customer. Now I'm going to challenge you, brother.
Go.
You're not too loyal. When's the last time you flew?
About a month ago.
Mm-hmm. You can get no damn peanuts.
No, I didn't. But you know what I got? I got these new pretzels that are from this company. I can't remember, but they were nice. They were like this sweet. I really liked it. I think they were heading down the path of the peanut allergy thing, and I understand that. You know, it's
well, you
like
mentioned earlier though. You said the brand, the Southwest, and the love and the fun and the peanuts. And talk about erosion. They had to get rid of the peanuts.
Yeah,
but peanuts were a huge part of that.
But they replaced it with something better. They did better than peanuts. For me, they did. For somebody that's a peanut
they've had to
fan,
replace some of that love and fun too, haven't they?
Yeah, and they're even doing things like they're changing their seating formats coming up soon in 2025. Yeah, I know. But the whole thing is, I see the way that I look at it. It's kind of like with me and Trader Joe's. It's the same way with me and Southwest. It's like I am brand loyal to the brand. I'm not loyal to flying. I'm loyal to Flying Southwest. I'm not loyal to grocery store brands like Tide and all of the big label brands. I'll take it because if I walk into Trader Joe's and they have it, I believe their store brand so much that I'll even buy a private label detergent that I don't even know of. So
they're their sweet spot.
I'm totally their guy. They could change peanuts as long as they don't change the basics of their customer service. Customer comes first when it comes to Southwest and Trader Joe's for that matter. I feel like they are living up to their brand promise.
Well, Southwest are great airlines, and it's going to be interesting to watch Bob and his team navigate the assigned seating deal because it is
I'm with you.
When you change something that major, you're going to have customer upheaval. Because no matter how great you are, it's kind of like our world today in politics. Half the people don't think you're right.
I agree, man. I want to talk for a quick second before we wrap up. I want to talk about the you said it earlier, so I'm not calling it, throwing anybody under the bus here. You're 69 years old, right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. An energy of 25.
No doubt. And he's true with this energy, nice guy community. He is up early. He is to bed late, and we have a lot of really good conversations through text messaging. You and through our Monday.com platform. At a point where most guys are slowing down, you and Carrie, your wife, are speeding up, and you are hitting the accelerator pedal to the nth degree. What is it that drives you as much as you are driven? Because you and Carrie are driven people. What drives you?
It's a longer story than you want to hear. It's a great story. I'll give you some highlights. I told you I started my firm when I was 24. I was a keynote speaker at a major ad agency conference in San Francisco 20 years later after I'd started my firm. And these guys came up to me afterwards and said, "Hey, we'd like to buy your company." Well, it was a service firm. All your assets go up and down the elevator every day. And I thought, well, these guys are drinking already and the show's not even over. And we'd like to buy your company. And I said, great. And they said, well, I really thought they were kidding. And they said, would you be willing to sell your firm? And I literally said, sir, everything I have, my wife, my kid, everything I have is for sale, except for my wife and kids. But there's one time a month I'd sell you my wife too. And they laughed and they said, "No, we're serious, sir. We're really serious." I said, "You are?" They said, "Yeah." And I said, if you will send us A, B, and C, we'd like to put an offer on your table. And I just could not believe it. We had another day of speaking and breakout sessions and flew back to Texas. And the next Monday morning, they sent me the message, called me and said, "Hey, can you please provide us these financials?" And I'm like, wow, they're serious
about it.
Sent them to them, and they said, "We're going to have an offer ready for you in 2 days." And I'm like, okay. And 2 days later, they called and said, "You're going to love this. Can you get by your fax machine?" Most of you out there listening to this probably go, "What the hell is that?"
What's a fax?
"Can you get by your fax machine? We're going to send you something." Oh, by the way, there was no email. Email had just started.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to fax me something because they wanted to have the whole deck. So they faxed me an offer. And I got to tell you, Doug, I looked at it and went, oh, my God, I'm a coach's kid from way back, scrapping under the bleachers. You're going to pay me how much money for this company? Oh, my God. And I called a friend of mine who consults with ad agencies all over the world. I said, hey, Stu, what do I do, man? These guys just offered me more money than I ever dreamed of in my life. He said, tell them it's not enough. I went, oh, I can't do that because it is. He goes, tell them it's not enough. So I did what he said, and I called him. I said, look, guys, I really appreciate this, but, it's just, we have this and we have that and we have that. Our company was very, very blessed. We've been more successful every year for 20 consecutive years. We had zero debt. We had 20 to 25 wonderful employees. We had 37 clients. We had a couple $1 million cash in the bank, zero debt, and we were just killing it. We were killing it. So I told the guy, I said, look, just thank you. I really appreciate it. It's an honor. He goes, what would it take? I said, you really want this firm? Tell me why. He said, well, we've got this idea and that idea, and we really want you involved. I said, okay. He said, would you let us come back to you again? I said, absolutely. They said, give us another day. Day later, they called and said, go stand by your fax machine. And I go stand by the fax machine. And I was sweating. I was so excited. I was like meeting that girl at the bar when you're in college. You're going, really? She's going to talk to me? And here it comes. You can't, here you are, the fax machine. You're pulling the pages out. Hurry up, you damn thing. Tell me what it says. And I got it. I'm like, oh my God, this is, and they bought my firm. And I couldn't believe it. So I say that to tell you that then I went on some crazy journeys. I had to start a consulting firm in a different sense. I did big picture branding sessions all over the country and think tanks. I didn't do ad campaigns and that kind of. I did big picture think tanks to help stretch CEOs and levels of thinking around the country. And I did that while I was chasing my child's career. My youngest daughter was a national equestrian champion. My middle son drove in NASCAR for Joe Gibbs Racing. And my older son has had an amazing, amazing career as a CEO and marketing leader at many great hospitality groups, and is still leading in his industry. So I had very busy kids who I love tremendously and spent a lot of time in their careers, in their lives, chasing them, watching them succeed, watching them do well. And I really, really enjoyed that. So Carrie and I had a late life marriage, been married 8 years now, and best 8 years of my life. And we were sitting here a couple of years after COVID and going, okay, where we travel next? We fly fish. We love to fish. We love to hunt. We love to go out and party with people. Carrie and I are both chefs. We cook. We dance. We just love life. And you can love life, and then all of a sudden one day you're going, okay, I'm loving it. And where's that joy we would get when we were out? Because she was a highly successful professional as well. Where's that joy we get from just going out and sharing what God blessed us with? The ability to inspire people, the ability to provide energy and say, come on, you can do this. And then 50 years worth of brand strategy knowledge. What am I going to do? Just die with that shit? What am I going to do? Just die? Okay, erase it, start over? Yeah. I've stayed current. I've stayed up with social media. I've stayed up with digital marketing. So we prayed about it, and God said, get out there. Let's go. I didn't give you these skill sets to sit on your butt and enjoy life. So we have flat teed it up. I'd had so many clients bugging me for 20 years to write a book, and that's what started it. Finally, one client had me on a retreat. We're out at a resort he owns, and he called me up on the rooftop on the last night doing the cigar and scotch deal. And he goes, okay, I've asked you for 20 years to write your book, ever since you turned my business around and made me a lot of money. When are you going to write that damn book? Mm-hmm. He said, I want it to be now. And so that was 1.5 years ago. And I came home and sat down and started writing the book. Well, the book turned into the book, which comes out in January. Then it turned into the podcast, which you're in charge of. And I'm grateful for that. And then it became to develop the website, develop social media. And we just launched all that yesterday and are trying to get our arms around all of it. It's fun. And Carrie and I are having an absolute blast. And already, like within 24 hours, people outreaching from our past who we haven't seen in ages, and people connecting with other people. And a guy who started a big time business said, I need your help. I didn't know you were doing this anymore. And I need to talk to you. And I need this and I need that. And kids, we love speaking to universities. I've done that for many, many years. Love helping those students get a grasp on reality and talking outside the textbook and giving them straight up stuff. So we're just, here we are a couple of days in and we're having a blast.
Well,
Wait to see what the future looks like.
you are exceptional at all of the things that you put your hands on. I've watched just recently, just for the last couple of months since we've been working together. I've watched you build this podcast. I've watched you direct the people that are building your and designing your website. I've seen the writing on the wall when it comes to your book. There are so many different avenues that you go down. I always joke about the fact that I don't do anything half-assed. I go in full-assed or not at all. And so I appreciate your full-ass approach to making this
all in, baby, all in.
And that's
absolutely,
and that has been your attitude with everything. And that's so great to have from someone at any age, but especially someone that could just as easily. And you mentioned some keywords, fly fishing. I'll be in the East Sierras this weekend, fly fishing myself in Northern California. So I'm excited we'll have a conversation about that as well. But we'll put a link in the show notes for everything that we just mentioned. We're going to have Brandon back on the show when his book is officially launched. I don't even know if you can get a pre-order copy of it. I know when I go to your website, it says pre-order coming soon. So if you're clicking in the link in the show notes and you see there's a pre-order available, take advantage of it depending on when that pre-order is.
Looks like the pre-order will probably be available about mid-October. I can't claim that yet.
All right. Well, that'll
working
be
out
perfect.
with all the troops to find out, but we really appreciate it. I just appreciate the opportunity to do this. And just so people know, they can tell how bad I was, but this is my very, very first time to be interviewed on a podcast. And what better podcast in the world than to start out with these fine gentlemen. So thank you for the opportunity to share this stuff. Happy to be a part of the journey.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you for all of your insights. We are going to have more conversations in the future. I'm excited to be on your show. I'm excited for you to come back on this show as well, and we'll take care of it from there. Brandon, thank you for being here and for all that you do.
So grateful for the opportunity. Thanks, you guys and ladies. All have a great day.
Nice guy community. Never underestimate that was your zing right there. That was good. Never underestimate the power of nice. Again, special thanks to Brandon Coleman Jr. All of his information will be right there in the show notes. Just go ahead and click the link. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
For the Nice Guys on Business, I'm Steve O'Brien. Fill up your week with the nice guys. That's their story, and they're sticking to it.